Hello and welcome. This is Raiden back again with our Honey's Horror series. This is Blood Honey. We are officially starting our reviews of Friday the 13th. Now, this is coming after our Halloween series review. Last night we finally watched it. Her for the first time, me after several times because I am the horror fan, she not so much. So it's really her reaction as opposed to my review as well. Well, of course, we have the lawsuits going on. Sean S. Cunningham and Victor Miller. Sean Cunningham was the producer. He directed this film. Victor Miller was also a writer on this film. So right now the lawsuit's kind of between them and certain rights and what Victor Miller's owed and what he contributed to the film and whatnot. But yeah, they are the ones essentially started it. Now this is a literal ripoff of Halloween. They have stated that straight out that after the success of Halloween, Sean Cunningham, he wanted to do his own thing, and then thus Friday the 13th was born, arguably as successful, if not more successful, than Halloween. Walking away from this one, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't remember having seen this one at least all the way through. I mean, I may have known little bits. Otherwise, I probably would have remembered certain people. But I guess my instinct says I like Halloween better. The OG Halloween, for sure. Yeah, it was... I guess it was alright. I mean, the kills... Some of the kills were, like, really crazy, I guess. But, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I myself would agree that Halloween is overall, like, with directing, acting, and all that stuff, it is the better film. I will say that. Friday the 13th is definitely a lesser version of that, but it did come at the right time where it did introduce its own like ambiance with the music. Henry Manfredini, who did the score and stuff, the dun 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 dun, and then the ki ma ma ma, which he did in like this like little echo machine. Basically, he said ki ma, and then it would echo, and then got the ki ma 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 effect, which is short for kill ma, like you saw in the movie that she was going like killer mommy killer. It comes from that. So the movie definitely has its own identity, and as we go through the series, it definitely evolves and really fully forms into what we know Friday the 13th to be. Because of course, as you know, watching it, Jason is not the killer, and going into it, you didn't realize that at all because she actually did assume it was Jason. How do you feel going towards the end of the film and the reveal of Mrs. Voorhees?
Well, I mean, I knew at some point it had something to do with his mom. I mean, the series in general. And I thought I remember there being like a skull at some point, unless I'm misremembering some kind of weird thing going on there. But like I said, I don't recall having seen the first one. Otherwise, I probably would have remembered that. Because at one point, oh gosh. The female that was supposed to be the cook. I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Yeah, the first girl. Yeah.
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 I'm like, why did she freaking get in the Jeep with the dude dressed up like Jason? Why?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
She was just like, and I knew I couldn't say anything. She's just like, be like, why would you get to a car with someone who looks like that, you moron? Like, how stupid can you be? I'm like, well, oh, you just don't know yet. You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, like, as far as like the kills themselves, do you think that they were, at least as comparing to the first Halloween, do you actually kind of like them better, or did you think they were pretty cool in their own right, or?
I guess I'm gonna keep them separate because I'm favoring Halloween at the moment. I don't know. I just, in general, I like that one better. But yeah, they have their own bit of brutality to them, like poor Kevin Bacon. That was pretty intense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's arguably the most iconic kill of this movie is the whole arrow through the neck, and it is a pretty good kill. And as I said, Tom Savini, who is like the makeup artist, he's kind of like the go-to guy for most horror films. And then, of course, like I said, he did all the work on this, and at that time, he was really credited for really doing really solid, realistic-looking kills because of his work, and so a lot of like slits to the neck and the
Yeah, those were
yeah,
really
yeah, they're
awesome.
they're pretty brutal. It's definitely because this is 1980. This is 2 years after Halloween, and so like just entering that new era of slasher, it's definitely ups the ante. Where again, Halloween was a lot more subtle in really a lot of its brutality for the most part. This one's just going full on, and it is a bit of a schlockier, more like kind of like lower level version of that. Again, it is a literal ripoff, but for what it is, again, it came at the right time and really doing its own thing. So as far as like the camp atmosphere, do you like that as opposed to like Halloween and just like I said, just kind of having that whole playground to?
Yeah, I'd say it brings a certain element to the game,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd like to think that it was the springboard for all these really dumb, campy,
Mm-hmm.
B-rate horror movies that were through the 80s. I heard stories about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it had a bit of a campy, not literal camp, but duh, campy
Yeah.
feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah, it was. It just really didn't grab me straight away. So I'm gonna just have to wait and see what the next couple bring.
That's fair enough. Because even to this day, most fans wouldn't even put this as their top film. Some would, but some will say that subsequent sequels do evolve and get better as they go along. And yeah, I can't really fault them for that because again, like unlike Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween, Friday the 13th, even though they knew what they wanted out of this, it really didn't become, like I said, what it's known as today until a couple of the later films. I mean, because Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, you knew what you were getting straight off the bat. Friday the 13th, this comes out, it's a huge hit, but of course, Pamela Voorhees is the killer, not Jason Voorhees. So yeah, so you kind of getting it from the opposite effect of having like knowing who Jason is, but going into this one, not knowing that he is the killer. So as far as like believability, do you buy Pamela as the one going into this, and did you uh, get into her motivation behind it all, and her whole portrayal in general?
Um, I suppose I can see that angle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I guess it sucks what happened to her son, but I don't know that it's entirely fair to go and murder all these people. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, some would say that it's just like be like, well, these counselors. They didn't do anything. They're not the ones who let Jason drown and all of that. I mean, obviously, you look at it from a character perspective. It's like, well, yeah. I mean, she is considered like a loving mother towards Jason, and then obviously, yeah, what, I mean, kids messing around where you got a kid out there in the water who's drowning. Yeah, clearly very irresponsible. So at least as far as the first set
yeah,
counselors, you would think that in a sense, like, yeah, it's not how you should handle a situation, but I mean, you can come to an understanding of where that was. But also, I would think that she is just someone who would be like psychologically that crazy if like anything were to step out of line. So for this situation with these kids, even though they didn't have direct responsibility, it kind of plays into her whole, psychosis and just her kind of also playing off her son's voice, like, kill her, mommy, kill her. She's like, I will, Jason. It really plays into an interesting creep factor because Betsy Palmer, was considered a legit actress at the time, and she herself thought the script was like, oh, this is crap. It's like, what is this? And it has been said that it's just like, well, she did take it in part because, well, she needed a new car and they were going to pay her like $1,000 a day for like 10 days, I think,
wow,
and stuff like.
okay,
yeah. Because the budget on this was very, very low for a
Yeah,
film. For
it
500,
didn't really need much.
yeah, 550,000 was the budget on this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, even like she throughout the years has always claimed, be like, yeah, the movie was just trash. You know, it was really nothing special. But and over time, she had embraced it. So when she was older, she would do some convention stuff and talk about it, you know, and all that. But so yeah, so you thought it was a pretty decent twist, at least going into it, for you know
Yeah, knowing
your
what it
understanding.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
That was. Yeah, it made previous scenes make sense, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because some
So,
would say that be like, well, how's this older woman being able to toss these bodies around, lift them around, and all this other stuff? And been like, well, I mean that's typical film for a typical horror film. Sometimes
yeah.
it's just kind of you just have to suspend disbelief from time to time. Most of the kills I could actually kind of see because I mean she had the element of surprise. You know, she was either under the bed grabbing someone, stabbing them, or something. So certain moments
Well, yeah,
I
but
could
what
I could buy
about
into.
the. Was he in the shower and he was attached to the door? Or
Oh
that,
yeah, when
yeah,
she, I
that
think
one.
she like placed his body against the door with like the arrows, like
Yeah.
it stuck to him, kind of like Michael Myers in the with the knife. Yeah, I mean, again,
Yeah.
that's just, I mean, they had to do something to, you know, cash in on that Halloween success. So, I mean, Victor Miller has said he went to go and watch Halloween. He kind of took the template for what occurred there, and then just kind of wrote out his own treatment for it. And like I said, we have what we have now. So in terms of rating this movie, how would you feel overall?
Mm, you know what? I guess I haven't used numbers in a while, but I guess I'd have to call it at least a solid 3. Because the kills were all right. I guess the kills kind of carry the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I'm just like, okay, I'm watching. Some scenes just really were superfluous. They
Like the coffee
really
making,
were.
like
Yeah,
yeah. I
the
mean,
coffee
fans
making.
throughout the years have called that out too. They've been like, okay, so they actually have a scene where she goes through the entire process of making coffee for what? Be like, well, I don't know. I guess they were trying to build suspense. I mean, yeah, so I can understand that. I mean, it's definitely a heavily flawed movie. Like I said, it's not like Elm Street or Halloween where they started off with a bang and they knew exactly what they were. Again, Friday the 13th is a unique situation where it constantly evolved. And of course, as we go down, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And as far as Jason jumping out the end, did you like find that interesting? Did you think that was a dream? Was that real?
Um, that. Well, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way the scene played out, it happened, but they couldn't find the. They couldn't find him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, we'll get into that. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The next few movies, I mean, as far as their endings go, are a bit muddled. You don't really know clearly exactly what happened, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I would give it a solid 3 myself. It's not a fantastic movie, but then again, it's not terrible. Like I said, the series evolved into what it became. This is not the best one, but it does help set the tone and help create an entire new entity of horror, which I mean you have to give it credit for that. But yeah, so I would say a solid 3 myself. So all in all, yes, that is our thoughts on Friday the 13th from 1980. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you with part 2. Thank you very much for watching.